I'm Jeff Spolster with Summit Mortgage, and this is Mortgage Points. In a different video, I explained some of the ins and outs of the loan estimate form that you as a buyer would get at the start of your formal loan application process to give you an idea of what some of the numbers are going to look like. A good estimate of your loan numbers, your monthly payment numbers, and your closing cost numbers. Today, in this video, I'm going to talk about the closing disclosure, which is the last form that you're going to get at the end of the approval process when you're signing the final documents to go over and show you what the final numbers are. Again, this is a government required form. Every lender has to give this to you when you're getting a mortgage. And the intent is to give you full disclosure on what all the costs and what all the important terms and conditions of your mortgage are going to be. You're going to find that it looks a lot, in some ways, at the very beginning at least, like the loan estimate form. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through all that all over again. I'm going to try and keep this video a little shorter, but I do want to cover some of the similarities and some of the differences. So let's dive in. So here we go. Page 1 looks very, very, very much like the same page 1 of the loan estimate. It's got basic same information on it. Details about the loan amount, interest rate, monthly payment, impounds that are being collected for property taxes and homeowners insurance if they are, a total view of the closing cost total and of the total cash to close the transaction, including down payment and closing costs. So this is pretty much identical to a loan estimate form. The difference on here is these numbers should be final. There shouldn't be any more changes to these numbers because you are signing the final documents to get the loan that these numbers reflect. So shouldn't see a whole lot of difference on here. All right, page 2. Same numbers as what you saw on the loan estimate, same categories, same columns. It's your closing cost details. It's formatted a little differently this time. Instead of 2 columns, it's 1 column for the borrower side. You might see a column, filled out column for the seller side, or those things paid by other parties. But you're going to focus primarily on just the borrower paid parts. And again, it's the same line items. The difference being between this and the LE loan estimate is that these numbers should be final. There shouldn't be changes to these. That is a caveat to that. Let's say your transaction takes a day longer than they expected to complete, so there may be a little less insurance taken, or there may be a little less property tax. So there could be some very minor differences to numbers, but these numbers should be 99% final at this point when you're seeing them on the closing disclosure. All right, page 3. Here's where we're going to start seeing some real differences. So at the very top, we have the calculating cash to close. That's the same as what it was on the loan estimate. But here it's nice that it's comparing what the numbers that were on the loan estimate to the numbers that are on this closing disclosure. So you can see what the differences are, and there will be a description in the column that says, did this change? There'll be a description of yes or no and why it changed, where to go look for the details. So it's nice to have to compare the closing cost, or the closing disclosure to the loan estimate cash to close figures side by side. Again, the closing disclosure numbers will be more accurate. They should be the final numbers, and so it's good to look at that, make a comparison, see where things change, so you're familiar with it. The bottom 2/3 of the page is just another way of looking at the aggregate costs, if you will, or the aggregate ins and outs, kind of like a balance sheet. The K section is where the money that's being spent, the sale price of the property, the closing costs, any other additional items that you as a buyer are paying for at kind of an aggregate level. Section L is where's the money coming from. You've got your deposit, you've got the loan amount. If there's any other loans, like you're getting a down payment assistance loan, and et cetera, and if there's other things that say the buyer or the seller is providing, like reimbursement for closing costs, but not closing costs, but yeah, if you have credits for closing costs, they'll show up, or things like prorated property taxes. So it's kind of a balance sheet approach. What should happen is you should be able to look at the very bottom where it says cash to close, and that number should match the cash to close number that's at the top of the page. But it's just a different view of it. Okay, here we come to the last two pages, pages 4 and 5. And these are very similar, again, to the loan estimate. These are the disclosure pages. All the same disclosures that were on the loan estimate are on here again, and you can verify that nothing has changed from the loan estimate to the closing disclosure that you didn't expect to change based on anything that may have happened in the approval process. But I'm not going to go over these one by one because it would take 20 minutes just to go over all the details. But again, it's the same things for the most part on page 4 as you saw on the loan estimate. Page 5 has some additional disclosures about appraisals and foreclosures and refinances, and also has some final contact information on it for your lender, your real estate agent, the seller's real estate agent, who the title escrow or settlement agent is. So this is really, these last two pages are covering kind of all of the non-numerical terms, right, which are important because there's elements of your potential mortgage that are not numerical and have to do with terms in which your rights and responsibilities and what you can and can't do are related to those kinds of things. So it's important to go over pages 4 and 5, especially with your lender if you don't understand what's on them, because that's what they're there for. But the numerical parts, in terms of most details like that, are on pages 1 through 3. Page 5 does have the same loan total payments, finance charges, et cetera, APR kind of calculation on it that was on the loan estimate. It's just moved to page 5 on the CD. That, in a nutshell, is the closing disclosure. That's the second of the 2 government required forms that a mortgage lender must give you in order to comply with truth in lending laws and give you full disclosure of what you're getting into with regard to your mortgage and the terms and conditions and numerics of it. So if you do have questions, please consult your loan officer about them for both the loan estimate and the closing disclosure, because they are there to help you understand what you're getting. So don't hesitate to ask questions if you don't understand something. All right, my name is Jeff Spolstra. I am with Summit Mortgage, and this has been Mortgage Points.